Hello there. This is Craig Hain, and I have a question for you. Do you know any teenage student that you would like to help them dramatically improve their life? If that's true, then this is a video for you. You might say, well, wait a minute, how are you going to help them improve their life? And the answer is mathematics. Now, all teenage students, one way or another, have to learn some mathematics. Math is a huge subject. It's kind of like music. There's all kinds of math, just like there's all kinds of music. And a teenage student needs to learn the math that's appropriate for them in their life. And that's what I'm going to teach you. Now, as you'll learn about me in a moment, I've been learning math and studying math all my life and teaching math all my life. And that's been many decades. And so what this video is about is how you can help a teenage student improve their life. Now, I'm going to, in the course of this video, I'm going to tell you about a bunch of free things you can get that will help you do that and help your student also, teenage student. And I'm also going to tell you about some products you can buy if you choose to later on, depending on the circumstances and what your teenage needs to do. Now, I've written some books. One of them is called Golden Rule Math for All God's Children. 21st century math education for 21st century students. Math is very different now with modern technology, both learning math and doing math, and most schools are not doing it properly. And I can tell you how that is. I wrote a book much more recently because people said, well, what's wrong with the math that's going on in our regular schools and our regular math programs? And I wrote a book called How and Why Public School Math is Destroying the USA. Now, by destroying the USA, I mean we're not teaching our children, our teenagers, the math they need to know to succeed. And that's really hurting our economy. It's hurting them individually, it's hurting our economy and so on. And if you watch this video, you'll find out how that can be corrected. And if you know a teenage student, then this video is definitely for you. So the question now is, how are we going to do this? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen with this video. I'm doing a Zoom video, and I'm going to share the screen. And this is my personal website, craighane.com. And you can go there and learn all about me. Over on the left side is my Vita. If you come up here and you can find out my story. And I'm Dr. Craig Hain. I have a PhD in mathematics. I got many decades ago in theoretical math. I have taught math at all levels. I've taught theoretical math for quantum theory and things like that, topology, functional analysis. But I've also taught beginning math for middle age school and high school age students. And that's what I like the most. And that's what I'm going to tell you about. Now, I've also got a video library. And if you click on that video library, you'll go there and there's a whole bunch of free videos all about different things in math. Now, this is not training. This is just for people that might have an interest in math and want to begin to learn a little bit about it. So if you know somebody, anybody that's interested in math, I think you'll find a lot of these videos interesting and enlightening, and they'll teach you a little bit about math. But now this is not a math program. These are free. But for example, I have 3 videos that will teach you the concepts of calculus in about an hour. Believe it or not, the concepts of calculus. Now, not all the things you need to know about calculus, but the concepts, and on and on and on. And a lot of interesting videos. Galileo bats 50%. Is the Pythagorean theorem always true? And so on and so on and so forth. And there's actually some interesting little problems here you can do. This goes on. Oh, these are free. That's my video library. Okay, enough of that. Now, the facts of the matter are, there's a company that I am the president of called Triad Math Inc. And it has developed a series of courses. In fact, if you go to you go to here and click on this, you can go to Triad Math Inc. I think you can. And there's a front page of Triad Math, a 21st century approach to math. That's what this is all about. And I'm going to tell you now how your student can benefit from it, starting with a free program. And it's about learn math different, learn it differently, and learn it in a way that should be in the 21st century, and so on and so forth. And you can go to that website if you want to and look at it. But what I'm really going to do I'm going to tell you about a math program now today that every teenager should know about. And so you go here and you look at down here, Dr. Haynes, that's me, tier 1 through 6 syllabi. This is a program I've developed really many years ago, several years ago. And you can go there and look at that syllabi and find out the kind of math that your student will benefit from in this modern age. Now, there's nothing like this that I know of anywhere. I don't know of any school teaching it. I don't know of any online program teaching it. And here's what it's all about. The first thing you need to do when you study math, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen just for a moment and talk to you about that. Math consists of a lot of things, but mostly it consists of numbers. Everything you do in math involves numbers. And then you have a tool called algebra, which lets you solve certain problems. Then you have geometry, and geometry is very interesting. That's all of it, and that's very valuable in any technical subject. And so you really need to learn all about geometry and numbers. In fact, if you ask me, what does math consist of? Fundamentally, it's numbers and geometry. Then algebra is a tool to help you do things with numbers and geometry. And I'll tell you about that. Now, the facts are, doing arithmetic, numerical calculations, is tedious. First of all, it's kind of hard to learn, and many students have not learned it very well. There's a lot of algorithms for multiplying big numbers, dividing them. I think every student needs to learn the basic addition tables and multiplication tables, and most students have learned that in elementary school. I'm assuming if you're a teenager, you already know the basic rules of arithmetic, addition, multiplication for small numbers. But you may have learned algorithms for multiplying large numbers or dividing large numbers. Well, that's very time consuming, error prone, and you may or may not have learned it. Well, today, there are calculators that'll do that for you. Now, this is a calculator that I recommend that you get if you don't have one. This is called the TI-30XA. It's about a $10 calculator. And I wouldn't be without mine. In fact, I have several of them so I can share them with people. I carry with me. Now, this calculator, back during the Manhattan Project in the 1940s, would have been worth $1 million. If you'd have had one, and you really want to have one, you know how to use it, you could do the arithmetic that was so terribly difficult to do manually, easily. And you would have been considered a genius to have this calculator. If they didn't know what you were doing, if you just had this calculator and you started doing all the arithmetic with a calculator, they'd have thought you were an absolute genius, believe it or not. Well, this calculator is something that every student needs to learn to master, to do all the basic arithmetic they're ever going to need to do for technical subject. I'm talking about basic arithmetic, numerical calculations. Well, that's the first thing I teach. I'm going to go back to sharing the screen now. And we have 6 tiers in our math program. And tier 1 is how to use the calculator. There's 16 lessons. And students absolutely love it. I can show you in a minute. I'll show you some testimonials to that effect of a lot of different, actually the parents testifying how their student loved it. There's 16 lessons to learn. Now, every one of these lessons has a tutorial video. It's me actually on a video coming off of Amazon Web Services. And it's like me as a tutor. The only nice thing about it is better than being a live tutor, because a student can pause the video, back it up, rewatch it, leave it, come back, watch it many times. Can't do that with a live tutor. The student controls me while I'm tutoring the student, and I do it, and I call it kitchen table math, very down to earth, how to do these things. Now, students love it, and there's 16 lessons here. And when a student masters his calculator, they'll be able to do virtually any kind of arithmetic they'll ever need to do in any kind of technical subject. Now, to be sure the student really understands the rules of arithmetic, there's also 10 lessons. I call it pre-algebra. These are the rules of arithmetic. The students probably learned a lot of them already. By the time they're a teenager, they should know most of them, but they may not. This may be a review. Most students go through this program. If they start into it, they love it, and they go through it in a matter of a week or two. It goes quick, and they love it. Now, This is particularly good for students that have struggled with math, are afraid of math, don't like math, because it's almost like playing a game. It's not a game, it's almost like it. It's kinesthetic, you're doing things, you're getting answers. And of course, with every tutorial lesson, I have notes and exercises. Of course, when I give a video, I don't want them to have to take notes. I give them the notes that they need for that video. And then I give them a whole bunch of exercises to do, because that's where you learn math. You learn it with doing exercises. And the students love to do it. Then I give them quizzes to be sure they understand it before they move on to the next lesson. So it's climbing a ladder. I don't want them to jump around, because you may need something in lesson 5 if you're doing lesson 10 or something like that. Now, this is a wonderful thing. And one of the things students absolutely love about it, they love all sorts of things about it, but one of them is fractions. Oh my golly, this thing does fractions for them. And all of a sudden now you can handle fractions and convert them to decimals and back and forth. So easy, they love it. I also taught them how to do what are called the trig functions, the sine, cosine, and tangent. I don't teach them trigonometry at this point, but I show them how to use the keys. So if and when they ever do study trig, they know how to use the keys. So that's tier 1. Now, what you're going to find out on this video, and you can click the link below, if you go to my website again and you go down, we used to, for years and years now, many years, we've sold this for $97. And but because of modern technology, the costs have come down. The technology says we are now able to give it away. So if you go to my website and you come down and look at this key that says claim your $97 gift and click on that, that will take you to where you can get this free tier 1 program for free now, not $97, for free. That's why I call it the $97 gift. And that's going to take you to here. Now, this says empower any teenage student to succeed with math with this special $97 gift. I think I've got my stomach giving it. Master the TI 30XA scientific calculator. Increase self-confidence, remove stress. It goes way beyond that, particularly for students that struggle. But even really good students love and learn this. In fact, I've had math teachers, I got testimonials now from math teachers that say, oh my golly, no one ever taught me this. Now I understand it. I can use it better. Isn't it wonderful? They don't teach this in most schools. Very few schools teach how to use the calculator. They want to teach you the old manual tools, which no one uses anymore. No one's going to ever pay you to do arithmetic manually, believe me. And of course, with the calculator, you improve your accuracy, you minimize careless errors. And more importantly than that, people say, well, okay, I learned to use a calculator, now what? It empowers the learning of what I call practical math in about 1 semester, like 2 or 3 months. Okay, what you do is on this website, you come down here and it tells you about, you can download the course syllabus, what I just showed you. It also comes down here. And of course you can, you can enroll for free. This tab here, you go here, and what happens is you enroll. The student will enroll. I'll get their name and their email address, because it's all online now. It's all over the internet. It's all self-paced, available 24/7. Comes with all the things I told you about. It's a full-blown program. Keep track of it in a learning management system. In fact, if the parent wants to enroll the student, then the parent can actually watch what the student's doing. That's fine. All free. I have a 21 testimonials. I've got lots more than that, but I put down 21 of them here, give you 21. And these are from parents that actually have now had their student go through this calculator training and what it was for them. And they absolutely love it. Now, this happened a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago. And these are real people now. These are homeschoolers. And this is all, but I don't care. You don't have to be a homeschooler. The student can learn this on their own time at home. And I got 21 testimonials. And so if you got any questions about the value to a student and how it improves a student's life, just read these testimonials. But the best thing to do, if you have a teenage student, say, look, I want you to do something. I want you to learn to use the calculator, the scientific calculator. Because once you learn that, you'll know something most people don't know. You'll be able to do things with it now most people can't do. And it's enjoyable. And what you'll find out, what I've learned, is the students actually love the calculator. They love the training, and they say, oh, this is easy. I thought math was hard. I've always struggled with math. I didn't really like math. Some students like math, but most of them don't like it for good reason. The way math is taught in our schools today is absolutely horrible. In fact, if you really want to know why what I'm telling you is so true, I really encourage you to read the book I told you about that I'm going to give you a free PDF copy. Now, you can go to Amazon and buy this book for $4.80. That's the cheapest Amazon will let me charge. You can buy from Amazon, but I'm going to give you a free PDF copy. And of course, if you really want to, if you want to help your student, then you need to read this book, Golden Rule Math. I've got coaching tips in here, how you can be a great coach, and just exactly how to deal with different students, a struggling student, a student that is not going to go to college but needs math for the military or a technical career, college-bound student, and then, most significantly, a STEM student. I'm going to tell you something absolutely incredible that you're not probably going to believe until I tell you, and then you may not believe it then, but you will eventually believe it, about STEM students, science and engineering. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back to the 6 tiers. What are you going to do after you learn to use this calculator? Well, in tier 2, I teach you practical algebra. This is all the algebra you're probably ever going to use in a typical technical career. I'm not talking science and engineering now, but there's literally thousands of technical careers today. All sorts of things, landscaping and carpentry and cooking. And this is the algebra you need. It's only 10 lessons. And again, every lesson has a tutorial video and exercises and notes and quizzes and all that. And students go through this and they thought, wow, that's easy. Now, algebra, the way it's taught today, in most schools, in all textbooks I know about, is difficult. And the reason is they put in a lot of obsolete manual stuff that you'll never use. They also put in a lot of theoretical stuff you'll never use. And I don't do that. This is practical algebra. Now, it's a tool, and you use it with geometry. So practical geometry is 19 lessons, and this is all about the things you run into in the ordinary world that you work in, that any kind of a technical field, you'll need to deal with these things in geometry. And algebra and geometry go together. And there's 19 lessons in this geometry. And it's amazing. And students love it. It's because it's hands-on. And they learn by doing exercises, and then they take the quizzes and they go back and forth to the video. I'm the tutor. It's like hiring a great tutor for $1 an hour, 25 cents an hour. It's not free, but gets pretty close to it. Now, there's a deficiency that algebra and geometry have by themselves. One of the most important things in geometry is angles, and geometry and algebra alone can't deal with angles. You need something called trigonometry. Don't let that scare you. I know very few people have ever taken trig, and the ones that have didn't like it. A few people liked it. I finally liked it, but there's only 8 lessons in trig for practical trig. Now, this is tier 2, and what's going to happen is after they take the free program, okay, here's the free, enroll for free. What are you going to do? What good's a calculator? Practical math. And you click here, and this used to sell for $197. You click on that, and you're going to go now to where the student can buy. Let me see if no, that's not to read to this. Upgrade your students' math skills. Now, I don't care if your teenage student is going to a public school, a good one or a bad one, it doesn't matter. A private school, good or bad, doesn't matter. Homeschool, it doesn't matter. This practical algebra, geometry, and trigonometry will be a life changer for them. They will understand when they finish this program more mathematics than 95% of all the adults in the United States. And I say a 63 online tutorial video lessons. Well, that included the tier 1 they've already gotten for free, and that was 26 lessons. So whatever, 63 minus 26, that's the balance of it. And this tells them all about it. You can download the syllabus. Again, I just showed you the syllabus. There's some testimonials. And it used to be $197. They get it for $97, or they can make 4 monthly payments of $29. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. If they start into this program and they don't like it for whatever reason, that almost never happens, give their money back. No problem. Now, we also have a family plan. We call it the Crusade plan. And a family can sign up with all their children for $29 a month and have access to this and all the other 6 tiers, the whole 6 tiers, for all their children. And some families, a lot of homeschool families do that. So if you're homeschooling, you'll probably want to go down and just enroll in the Crusade, $29 a month, and you get all 6 tiers for up to, I think it's 4 people. Most families don't have more than 4 children. If you have more than 4 children, let us know, and we'll probably deal with that too. And by the way, if there's a student that you know that wants to take this and doesn't have any money, have them email me, contact me, and I'll give it to them. I will personally give it to them. No problem. I don't ever want any student to not learn math because they can't afford it. Now, they do need internet access. There's no doubt about that. And so if they have to go to the library to do it, they can, but they can do it online, and it takes internet access, and that's all it takes. And you're ready to go. So that's basically what I had to tell you on this video. So go to craighane.com. I think it's in the description below, and look at my free videos and get the free books I'm going to give you, and go get the free gift. You have this teenage student get the free gift. You can get it yourself if you want it. Anybody can get it. It's really focused on students that want to learn some math and improve their life. But I'll tell you what, I've turned around the lives now of several hundred students in the last several years, because we've been doing this for a number of years now. Triad Math is 11 years old, and we've been teaching a lot of this stuff now for many years. And it's just amazing, mostly homeschoolers. But I'll tell you what, any student today can learn this at home very quick and easy. And by the way, you'll find if you watch Tyler Hansen's testimonial, he took tier 2, he learned trigonometry and the other things in tier 2, and was able to, then he went to a very good private school down in Texas. Came from a well-to-do family, and he was taking their tough math course. And when he got into the trigonometry, he said it was easy for him, and all of his fellow students were struggling. And he's not a particularly gifted student. By the way, there's a few gifted students, maybe 5%, and there's a few that just can't learn math for whatever reason. They have a handicap of some kind. The rest of the people, the 90% in the middle, are all pretty much the same. Some learn faster than others, and that's fine. My program is totally self-paced, and everybody climbs a ladder. And as a coach, you tell them, if you're climbing a ladder, you get accolades. And don't compare 2 students. One student will always be up higher on the ladder than the other, going faster, going slower. That's happened. And I'll just give you an example now of something that's kind of fun to do. After they've gone through tier 2, remember now, that's the $97 program. Calculator program's free, $97. Here's a little problem you give people. Take a triangle. Triangle's the most important polygon, by the way, in technology, because it's a rigid polygon. There's triangles everywhere. And just put in the lengths of the 3 sides. Just make up 3 arbitrary lengths. I did it here. I did 8.2, 11.4, and 16.7. Now, here's the problem. Here's what you got to do if you're in technology. What's the area of the triangle? And what are these 3 angles? This is not a right triangle, generally speaking. Well, with the calculator and what you've learned in tier 2, you'll be able to do this in 1 minute. In fact, you need to do it twice, and it takes 2 minutes because you want to check yourself. And so I did it, and this is an example right here. You can write it down if you want to, and what the area is and what the angles are, and you can try it. And just give this to somebody you know and say, and give them a calculator and say, how quick do you think you could find the angles and the area? And you can do it. All my students now, and I've got 12-year-old students been through tier 2. 12-year-old. You can start your students. I've actually had students, I'm not sure what the youngest student has been, but I know I've got 12-year-old students that have been through tier 2. It only takes about a semester to go through it. It blows people's mind. The homeschoolers have just been amazed by this. Oh my golly, I'm teaching my child all this. And now, what I didn't tell you, and I guess I ought to go back and finish this up. I just talked really about the first two tiers now. And so what about if you have a student that wants to go to college? Well, what happens is then I'm going to go back to my syllabus. Well, I've got tier 3 to get ready for college. Now, this takes a lot more math, and a lot of it you'll never use. And now, for the first time, I actually use a textbook. And I use the best textbook that was ever, what have I done with it? I thought I had a copy of it laying here. I do underneath here. This textbook is by Dr. George Simmons. Now, Dr. George Simmons is, in my opinion, the greatest math teacher of the 20th century. He wrote back in the early 70s, he read the greatest book on topology and functional analysis ever written. And I taught out of it many times. I taught at a school called Rhodes-Halsman Institute of Technology, an engineering school in Indiana. And we taught their most advanced, this was their most advanced math majors and physicists. It's the math you need for quantum theory and theoretical physics and all that. He wrote the greatest book, Topology and Functional Analysis. Then he wrote the greatest differential equations book. Wow. And differential equations are the workhorse of math. You can't do science engineering without differential equations. Then he wrote the greatest calculus book. That's how you analyze functions. He wrote the greatest. And then he was frustrated because he would get students to come to his college out of high school and they didn't know basic high school math. So he wrote a book he called Pre-Calculus Mathematics in a Nutshell, Geometry and Algebra and Trigonometry. In a nutshell, this book is only 119 pages long. Best high school math book ever written. It came out in 1988. I went to Barnes & Noble and bought for $6.98. I bought 20 copies and I'd give them to people. I gave one to my youngest son who was in the 8th grade at the time. He went through this book essentially on his own because I was traveling a lot with business. He won a scholarship to Rhodes-Halsman Institute of Technology in the 8th grade because of this book. And at that point in time, he then knew more mathematics than all of his high school math teachers did. And he got real bored with high school math because it was boring because he knew it, and he knew more than they did. And that wasn't good for him. So I use that book in tier 3, but I only use a small part of it because you don't need much math for science and engineering. For the SAT and the ACT, and that's what this is getting them ready for. The SAT and the ACT, part 1, part 2, there's more. Some of it's custom notes. There's a lot of things that are not in George Simmons' book that they need for the SAT. By the way, as I explained in one of the public school math book, I don't like the SAT and the ACT tests. I don't think they're good tests at all. I don't think they prove anything. But if you got to take it, this is going to get you ready for it. And I've even give you then some preparation and kind of give you some advice on how to prepare for it and get ready for it. Okay, fine. Now, let's say you've taken the SAT and the ACT and you pour high score on it, made perfect score. Are you ready now for science and engineering at a really good school? And the answer is, oh my gosh, no. Now you need math at a deeper level. So now in tier 4, I go into geometry and algebra and so on at a deeper level. And guess what I do now? Now, this is amazing. Listen in. If you know somebody that's studying science and engineering, this you want to know. There's a tool that came out in 2009 called Wolfram Alpha. It's a miracle tool. It's artificial intelligence. It's incredible. And it makes the learning and the doing of STEM math from a difficulty level of 8 down to a difficulty level of 2. It's incredible. I've not seen it in any textbooks. I don't see any high schools teaching it. And that's what I teach. In fact, that's really what motivated me. So starting at A5, I introduce them and I use it from now on. When we study conic sections, for example, polynomials, logarithms, radian measure, trigonometry at a much deeper level. Now, once you learn trig at a deep level, you're now ready for complex numbers. That's critical in STEM, science and engineering. Real numbers that you know about correspond to a number line. Complex numbers correspond to a plane, 2-dimensional. And they're easy to understand if they're taught properly, which I do now. On and on. Now, We're in high school. Your students started this, they're 12 years old. They're going to be through this time they're 14, 15. It's self-paced. Who knows how long it'll take? I've had students as young as 13 be up through here. Now, guess what? Calculus is absolutely critical in analyzing what are called functions. Functions are what is used throughout math. Differential calculus helps you analyze the graph of function, maximum, minimum, so on. The old manual techniques aren't too difficult. That's what's taught today. Wolfram Alpha makes it much, much easier. Calculus 2, integral calculus. This is now where you got to calculate the area underneath the graph. Very difficult to do. Back in the 1600s, they discovered what's called the fundamental theorem of calculus. Isaac Newton, Gottfried Leibniz discovered it. Isaac Newton applied it to develop modern physics, Newtonian physics. The only problem with the fundamental theorem is very hard to use, very difficult. This flunked more students out of engineering school when I taught there than anything else. This is like a barrier course because you got to find what are called antiderivatives, which is solving a basic differential equation. And it's very hard to do manually. And sometimes you can't even do it. In fact, they have to rig the problems up so that they only give you ones that are solvable. Some of them can't even be solved that way. Well, guess what? Wolfram Alpha just makes it easy, easy peasy. So I have students now go through, after all, there's a total of 30 lessons in calculus. I have students go through in one semester, calculus, and they know calculus better than anybody that's taken a standard calculus course in high school or even in college because they know the tool, Wolfram Alpha, and they can do all sorts of things you can't even begin to do manually. The workhorse of STEM is differential equations. A differential equation is an equation where when you solve it, the solution is a function. And this is what's used throughout engineering and science. Well, again, that's even harder than integral calculus manually. Guess what? Wolfram Alpha, one semester, differential equations. So when you're a student now decides to go to a really good school and study science and engineering, STEM they call it, well, I would have them skip the courses that schools teaching on calculus and differential equations. They know it already. And just start taking the advanced math, the more advanced math, and of course then the science and engineering subjects they're interested in. And that's what you do. In fact, right now, just recently, I've been told that the Air Force Academy and the Naval Academy are now allowing students to use Wolfram Alpha. Pretty soon all the schools will. I've talked to some engineering schools don't allow it because they still want to teach the old manual stuff, but it's obsolete. I consider the math they're teaching today in our schools horse and buggy math. And what I'm teaching you is modern technology. I'm teaching you what I'll call modern automobile math, even Tesla automobile math. It's phenomenal. Now, so that's it. Now, what you need to do, you've watched this video. It's a pretty long video. If you know a teenage student, you go get them enrolled in the free program. Now, they may just go through tier 2 and that's all they want. Now they're ready for the military, a technical school or whatever. Want to go to college, but don't care about science and engineering, tier 3, they're done. Want to go into science and engineering, tiers 4, 5, and 6. And I've had students start at age 12, and by the time they're 17 years old, all the way through tier 6. In fact, I've had students do it in 3 years. So it's really easy to do. Math with the modern tools is easy. And math is the key to any kind of technical subject. Now, there's much more math than what we teach in high school, what I've just taught. Although I've already taught you way more math than most high schools ever think of teaching. But there's even more math than that. And guess what? Wolfram Alpha is way more than that. We're just now, you've seen the top of the iceberg. You've seen the top 10%. There's much more. And now your student's ready, knows how to use Wolfram Alpha, going to learn Fourier analysis and three-dimensional calculus and all sorts of other things. And Wolfram Alpha is going to help them do that. And they're ready. And I'll tell you what, if a student's going through my 6-tier program and they go to an engineering school and some other student, equally talented, has been through regular high school math, My student had a way big advantage over them. So that's what I want to tell you. Go tell teenage students about this free program, get them signed up on it, and I will see them then on another, I'll see them on my tutorial videos. Thanks a lot for watching. Help any teenage students you know. Spread the word. Thanks a lot.